Buccaneers minus 2.5 at the Colts, over under 51.5. This is one of two games we're going to talk about in the next minute or so, or next few minutes. Road favorites that, frankly, and you can see if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. If you are watching, by the way, smash that like button. The Buccaneers appear to be headed towards 3 on the spread. This game and the next game we're going to talk about are rancid. Why are the Buccaneers only favored by 3? I know the Colts are good. They're playing great football. How can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is it just because they're on the road and Tom Brady hadn't been as good on the road? Or are they coming off the big Monday night game on a short week? I don't get it, RJ. I've got the Buccaneers as a best bet. I thought that they would be like 4 or 5 point favorites. 2.5 is not enough for what the Buccaneers can do. Especially when you consider that Vita Vea is going to be back in this game. The Colts' whole thing is running the football with Jonathan Taylor right now. That's their identity, and they're doing it really well. 5 touchdowns last game. Carson Wentz didn't have to do anything in that game because it was a blowout against the Bills. I think this is just a poor matchup for the Colts in terms of what they want to do against a team that is very good against the run. I like the Buccaneers big here.
Yeah, you know what you sound like. You're talking like that. You sound like somebody that picked the Saints against the Eagles, saying that's their identity is the run.
Last week. Right? Yeah.
Identity is the run. This is what they do, and this is the defense to stop them. And I just can't assume that Indy's going to have a tougher time running in this matchup after what Philly did in New Orleans. If you're really good at that, then maybe you can beat these the supposedly tough matchups. You can overcome them. The Indy defense is unlikely to generate 4 takeaways versus Tom Brady like they did last week. So I just don't think that's going to happen. Indy's defense coming off a great game has struggled plenty this year too. I mean, remember that Jets game? They gave up 30 in that game a couple weeks ago. If Indy offense can't rush for 260 yards again, like they did 2 of the last 3 weeks, can Wentz keep up if Brady's slinging it? I doubt it. So I would lean to the Bucs too at minus 2.5. I don't love it really. Tampa Bay secondary got Murphy Bunting back ahead of the Giants game. I thought that was going to help them finally get healthier, and they didn't give up a ton of points. Maybe it did, but he didn't look particularly great. Maybe a week later now he'll be better after getting a week of reps there. It does feel like laying less than 3 on Brady in a matchup of Brady versus Wentz is great value any way you slice it. I just think this Colts team, aside from Wentz, and Wentz isn't playing that poorly. I said it last week. Like, he has 3 interceptions on the year. We think that he's a bad quarterback and he's kind of holding them back, but he's played perfectly fine. And he's giving the Colts what they need is a competent quarterback protecting the ball, and let the offensive line, the run game, the defense all go to work because they have a good team around them. So I disagree that this line doesn't make sense. I have the Buccaneers as the number 1 team in my power ratings at 7 points above average, and that's 1.5 points better than anyone else. I have the Colts at this point at 2.5 points above average because I think they're getting better. They're playing so well with the running game and the defense and the offensive line that I think that they're up there with those teams like the Patriots, Ravens, Chargers, kind of in that good tier of AFC teams, and maybe the Patriots are a little bit ahead of that group at this point. But I think the Colts kind of deserve to be that. And if you make it that and make the line how I said, you give 2 points to the Colts for home field advantage at this point in time. Line's 2.5 at that point. So the line makes sense to me. I don't think there's great value on Tampa. That's why I didn't jump on at 2.5, but I'm going to lean that way just because I see Brady versus Wentz and you're getting less than 3. It makes sense for me to lay that point, those 2.5 points at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of my thought process, but that's a good way of explaining it, that the line actually does make sense. However, if the action is so one-sided on Tampa, you'll see that line move up, right? We could get 3. I mean, it's going to go to 3, I would think. Maybe 3.5, but at 3.5, you'll probably get a bunch of buyback on the Colts from people, from sharps who believe that the Colts are legitimate. And as you point out, I mean, this defense is 9th overall in DVOA for the Colts, 2nd against the run. That is actually better than the Buccaneers, who are 4th against the run. The Buccaneers are 7th against the pass, though. Tampa has the number 7 defense by DVOA overall, and then the Colts have shot all the way up to number 2 in terms of rush offense in DVOA rankings. I mean, they're running the ball really well. Quentin Nelson suffered an injury, but appears to be fine. I don't think he's expected to miss any time. So yeah, I mean, look, the Colts could pound the ball, and I mean, we've seen weirder things than Tom Brady losing to Indianapolis, but dome game. I think he'll play well.
And I'll also point out the public doesn't see this as like a ridiculous line. That doesn't make any sense because only 58% of the tickets are on Tampa Bay at this point. It's not one of those 90-10 matchups. What are we doing here with this line? It's just public is so clearly on one side. I think that it kind of makes sense for them. The next game we're going to talk about, they're a lot more weighted on the road favorite.